Hey everybody, this is Rittens, where we write whole worlds. Here's a story about a boy trying to protect his family's cows and discovering something a little bit bigger. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the fantasy tale of Ghastly Giant. Be careful, his father shouted from across the threshold as he slowly closed the door behind him. He looked up towards the open sky. Nary a sliver of cloud barred the brilliant moonlight from flooding the empty streets. Looking around his hamlet, he glanced past the 5 buildings that made up their community. Only 7 families lived here in Narastad, working their fields together. As an agricultural hamlet in nature, their livestock was an important asset, and someone had been stealing their cows. One disappeared every fortnight, and the moon cycle changed. Based on this pattern, Ryle had offered to keep watch over the barn that night, to catch the thief red-handed. Shh, it's okay. His familiar voice calmed the cows down as he entered the large barn, sliding its doors shut behind him. The herd stirred for a bit, but settled down after a few minutes. Ryle settled himself in the itchy hay, checking his family's crossbow as he readied himself for the stakeout. Seconds turned to minutes, which turned into hours. Consciousness slowly escaped him as the hay started to feel more and more comfortable, and he fell into a deep sleep. In his dream, he stood atop a grassy hill, overlooking the valley a few kilometers south of his homestead. The sky was clear, the wind gentle, and the warm sunlight kissed his skin as he sat himself down to take in the scenery. Before he managed to get comfortable, the weather suddenly changed. The sky became overcast as the clouds turned dark mid-motion. Crackles of static anger raged through the clouds, causing them to break open. Ryle quickly got back up on his feet and ran down the hill. Torrential rainfall instantly drenched him and turned the tall grass slippery. He lost his balance and tumbled forward, causing him to roll down the hill. As the pain traveled through his body like white-hot thunder, he focused his eyes forward to a single leafless tree that stood in front of him. With an enormous explosion of sound, lightning struck it, momentarily blinding him as he opened his eyes in the barn. The nightmare had caused him to fall down from the hayloft onto the hard floor next to the cow pen. In spite of his sore body, he forced himself to stand up, and that's when he saw it. The barn door was wide open, a single pale hand holding it open from the top, easily 7 meters up. His wide eyes followed the hand, down a hairless arm, to the torso of a being so monstrously large he could not understand what he was looking at. The pale white skin flowed all the way up to its weird, bulbous skull, from which 3 dark grey eyes protruded. Blinking vertically, the being stood frozen in motion, holding both the barn door in one hand and one of their cows in the other. It lacked any discernible nose or lips. Instead, its skin was pulled taut over its skull, which had slits where the nose and mouth should be. Very little hair adorned its head, but the little bit that was there was sinewy and grey, which stuck to the sides of its face. Its body was lumpy and asymmetrical, with its right arm being about 2/3 the length of his left, but much more muscular. As Ryle stared at it, his mouth opened, but no scream escaped. He staggered backwards, seemingly agitating the creature. With a loud snap, the being opened its maw unnaturally far, revealing 2 rows of jagged teeth. It let out a spine-chilling, high-pitched shriek. The already agitated cows, now in a panic, were running around wildly within this limited space. Blinded by fear, Ryle pushed himself against the back of the barn from where he spotted his crossbow about 2 meters above him. His eyes drifted back to the creature, which was still staring at him, maw agape, now silent. Using the wall, Ryle jumped and reached the girder supporting the hayloft. Kicking off against the wooden boarding, he climbed onto the platform and hurried to his crossbow. The being was still silently tracking him with its eyes. As Ryle dove forward to his weapon, he quickly knocked a bolt and aimed. "Drop the cow!" he shouted in a shaky voice. The being's lack of movement freaked him out even more, and without thinking, he released the bolt. With a soft sound, it flew through the barn and bore into the cheek of this creature, causing some kind of liquid to trickle down from the wound. It stood there for a moment without any visible reaction. Sweat started to pour down Ryle's face as he knocked a second bolt. However, before he finished that, the creature suddenly stepped back and slammed the barn door shut. What was that? Ryle whispered to himself, trying to calm down, but the horrible visage of the creature was still fresh on his mind. After a moment, he gathered his courage, dropped down to the floor, and left the barn. No footprints or traces of any kind were left by the being, which had seemingly vanished. There were no forests nearby, only open fields, yet Ryle saw no trace of it in any direction. Utterly confused, he sprinted back to his homestead. Ryle's father came back out of the barn in his long johns and looked at his pale-faced son with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. "Yep, she's gone. We lost another." He let out a deep sigh before continuing. "Look, falling asleep is one thing, but making up this crap about giant monsters is disrespectful." Ryle bit down on his lip hard enough for a trickle of blood to fall down, but did not argue back. "Thanks for nothing," his father said, aggressively pulling the crossbow out of Ryle's hands. He watched his father walk back to their home and slammed the door shut behind him. "I know what I saw," Ryle said to himself with clenched teeth as he opened the barn door. The slight glimmer of moonlight reflecting off something shiny caught his eye. He crouched down inside the opening and took a better look. "I knew it," he said, touching the thick black liquid with his finger. As he raised his hand, he yelped in pain, quickly rubbing the tar-like substance off. His finger now carried a small acid wound. "Then I'll just have to bring proof." The glimmer in his eyes changed as he stood back up. Rumors and tales of the Yuresk spread throughout the land, speaking of monstrous creatures multiple times larger than any other. Warriors far and wide set out to slay such a being, but none ever managed to bring one back, causing their existence to remain a mystery. And that's that. I wonder, what would you do if you saw something like that but nobody would believe you? Either way, I hope you enjoyed today's fantasy story. I've got many more of these coming up, so subscribe if you want to keep up with that. I'm also getting ready for some of the world building and D&D related videos I'll do, so come join our Discord link below if you want to be a part of that. You can read ahead on these stories by visiting my Instagram, which is also linked below. I post new stories there every Wednesday and Saturday. Alright, that's all. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you around. Remember, our world is always open for you. Take care, and see you next time. Bye bye.